Here we are at the Box Hill Hospital in Melbourne, Australia, doing a field trial of our brand new GZS Bedmover by Electrodrive, otherwise known as the split-time gazunder. Gazunder because, you guessed it, it goes under the bed. As Tom approaches this rather narrow corner of a corridor, you'll see just how manoeuvrable the GZS Bedmover is. And that's important because, of course, in hospitals you rarely have the luxury of wide, spacious corridors. Much more likely to find corridors jam-packed with equipment and people and, of course, patients. One of the hardest spaces to navigate in a hospital is the elevator, but you'll find that the very compact design of our Bedmover, with a tiller arm that folds down, enables space in an elevator not only for the bed and the Bedmover, but for people either side of the bed. The GZS Bedmover drives backwards with equal ease as driving forwards, and you'll see that it can in fact pivot on the bed's own axis. So it has an incredibly tight turning circle, and that makes it really easy to maneuver through a hospital environment. And we started out this trial in the patient care levels, and then we moved down to the basement of the hospital to trial the adaptability of the Bedmover to a range of different beds. The basement has the narrowest corridors, and we sought out the most difficult corners to navigate, and were able to navigate even the very tightest corners of the hospital. We bumped into some interesting characters on our way, some fabulous larrikins with some stories to tell. Probably a good thing the audio is turned off in this in this video, and they were able to give us some pointers. But as we got down to the basement, you'll see, to the basement area in the workshop, you'll see just how easy it is to approach a range of different beds, clinical beds, stretchers, even floor beds. To our knowledge, this is the only Bedmover in the world that's adaptable with floor beds. Our flexi hitch design is based on a seatbelt strapping design, which makes it highly adaptable. We're not aware of any bed that we can't hitch to using this flexi hitch. So here's an example where instead of hitching around a horizontal beam, we're hitching around the posts. This particular bed is probably the trickiest to fit on for any Bedmover, because the wheelbase of the bed is quite broad relative to the bed. See how those wheels outlaid or stepped out to make room for the pillar action of the bed. So in a typical bed situation, the Bedmover would just drive straight up, but because in this situation the wheels come so far out or wide from the bed base, to get onto this bed you actually have to approach it from an angle and then straighten up. But it's done very intuitively and easily. We put a lot of care and attention into the design of the control panel, which we find is very intuitive to use. So after about 10 or 15 minutes of use, most people will feel very comfortable both changing the controls on this unit as well as steering the bed. We unhitch the hitch here, reverse backwards through. This is the traditional wheelbase where we just in and out, straight in and out directly. And here's an example of hitching onto a bed that has these outreached casters, so we're approaching it from an angle and then straightening up. The nurses at this hospital were amazed that we were able to get a Bedmover to adapt onto the floor beds. As I said, we're not aware of any other Bedmover on the market that can do this. See how manoeuvrable it is. It's able to pivot on the bed's own axis. And we got a whole lot of the employees at the hospital to use the Bedmover, and a whole series of our own staff to use it without training, and we found that everyone felt comfortable driving it after about 10 or 15 minutes of use. Really comfortable. And that is the beauty of this design. Really easy, intuitive, and useful to reduce injuries.